Well, we will kick it off, everybody. We're really excited to have you all here. I know it's been a big week, a heavy week. Oh, I guess we're wanting to bring some joy and some laughter. So we'll go St. Patty's Day celebrating with you all too.
We're gonna do this for 5 or so seconds.
Yeah, but it is like we wanted to kind of honor that of like it has been a tough week. I know we even hit like that Friday the 13th was an interesting day. We're not normally like at all pertain to that. We're talking with our son about that today because he was asking us about Friday the 13th, and we're like, you know what? Like most people, if you didn't even know, you tend to either it'd be just an average normal day, or you would look for the bad because you're superstitious and anticipating the worst, or if you look for the good, you're going to find the good. And so that's really what matters. And so I want to honor first and foremost that like it was a tough for many of us that were the qualifiers to go to the Bahamas, or for many of you that were going to Miami for the business momentum. It was a bit of a like, a low point to find out that had all been canceled. And now, I mean, gosh, who knows how long this is going to kind of trickle out.
Yeah, and as we went to sleep Saturday, we woke up Sunday to a very different week, a very different world and everything. But we want to say, cheers St. Patrick's Day with your waters. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
And we can still find the good. We can still have those moments. If you've been around in coaching for any length of time, many of us have gone through the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. And they talk about a lot of like living below the line or above the line. And it's obvious that, many of us are going to have those kind of moments where we're going to drop down below the line, where we go into like that victimhood, or we go into blame, or we go into, pointing the finger at other things that it's important for us to like acknowledge, and then choose to rise above that line and get back into that empowerment triangle where we're looking at empowering ourselves, empowering others, and again, seeking out for the good, because there always is some. And so tonight, even I wanted to kick it off with every week, if you're new to us, our coaching journey and our coaching huddle here, we always have a coach share their testimony. And I couldn't think of anybody better than Sarah Ball for this week. Amazing coach, amazing ER nurse, kind of like living it out even. And so Sarah, do you want to pop off and just share a little bit about your coaching story, your coaching journey, and just kind of what you're experiencing right now? And I was getting to take a peek at some of her notes, and so I'm excited of what this is going to bring and offer all of you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me, you guys. I have to be honest. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it's been a little bit hard for me to be coaching focused in the last few days. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, I'm just not going to listen to Monday Night Leadership. Team Rena, I just don't have it. I don't feel like that's the priority. And then I really started thinking about just that importance of community. And this could be our new norm for a long time. And so just not falling into, the fear stuff and thinking like we need to just put our life on hold for a time, because life does go on. And I think that this community here and the things that we stand for are meant to shine. Like they said last night on leadership, like our business was set up for a time like this, right? So when Megan asked me to share my story tonight, which by the way, I'm Sarah Ball. I live in Minnesota. I don't have a nice background. I know where my stuff is better if it's messy. If my husband cleans my office, I get mad because then I have no idea where anything is. But when she asked me to share tonight, initially I think, yeah, I can share about my initial transformation story, my 5-in-1, 3 years ago. I lost 30 pounds. It was great. But I always think that sometimes my story compared to what other people have to share just is not very exciting. Many of you guys have way bigger physical transformation stories than I do. And I can kind of be like, oh, but I get pumped about when I think about the other aspects of my transformation story over the last few years. So I decided to keep the theme going for tonight that many of us are experiencing in our day-to-day life with all the uncertainty going on, and that is fear. So who's excited to hear about fear once again? a little different idea. So I started my coaching journey when I was about 2 weeks into my own personal journey as a client. And I really just thought I was going to be coaching people towards weight loss. But what I quickly realized was that there is an even bigger component towards what we do, and that's that mental and emotional transformation that I'm sure all of you guys are experiencing. The past couple years as a coach has brought me into a whole new level of looking at my own emotional health. And as I'm coaching others towards a healthier body and mind, it really made me look inward at my own health in all areas. I have a phenomenal coach. Her name is Liz Peterson, and she knows how to ask the right questions. She has always challenged me to think deeper and to go beyond the superficial. She doesn't settle for just my immediate responses. And I know that she learned that from Megan, because Megan has, I've experienced that with Megan as well. But whenever the topic of fear would come up, Liz would take it many levels deeper. And at one point, we had a conversation about something, and after I hung up with her and started pondering it for a time, trying to figure out, like, what was it that I was actually afraid of? And a word popped into my head, and it was like I hit the jackpot. It was literally like I was struck in the gut. It was like a sucker punch to the gut. Can you guys imagine what that word would be? Like, does a word pop in your guys' mind and be like, oh, yeah, that is a fear of mine? And some of you guys are going to hear this word and it's going to be like a breath of fresh air. And others of you are going to hear the word and it's going to be like a sucker punch to your gut. So the word for me is discipline. I have a massive fear of discipline. Literally, I hear the word and I get a pain in my stomach. I'm not even kidding you guys. Although it gets a little better as time goes on. But when I hear discipline, what I used to hear was restriction, consequences, punishment, being bad, authority. But in reality, the definition of discipline is to train someone to obey rules or a code of behavior. So the opposite of discipline is agitation, chaos, confusion, disorder. And at times in my life, if you guys had looked into my brain, that is what it looked like. All of those nasty adjectives were spilling over into my marriage, my family, my career, my relationships, my friendships. Despite my fear of discipline, the last 2 years for me has been a journey towards discipline and structure, and it's been painful and I have failed many, many times. I have this desire for freedom and I want to be able to do whatever I want when I want to, without restriction. And to me, discipline was restrictive. So naturally, I have my entire life resisted discipline. And my parents can vouch for that. When I thought I was creating freedom in my life, by being able to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted, it was actually creating the opposite. So my fear has been wrapped up in this concept of desiring freedom, but without discipline. So I had to answer this question: does life without restriction lead to ultimate freedom? Through this community of coaches and friends, I've been challenged with learning to live a life of discipline, not just in my choices of food, but in how I structure my time, in how I speak to others, in how I spend my money, and in my friendships that I make time for. And it's been a journey. My coach Liz has been incredible. Our mentors have been amazing. And I can say that my husband has probably been one of my biggest cheerleaders. He seriously is like in the corridor rooting for team discipline for Sarah. But in reality, discipline is a gift. It's a habit and it's something that takes time to develop. And I'm realizing that it's not really that scary after all. A life of discipline is what actually leads to some freedom. I still hear the word and it still causes me some anxiety, but not like it used to. I'm learning structure and in return, I am finding more freedom in my life. So about a year into my coaching, I've been coaching for almost 3 years. About a year into my coaching career, I was able to quit my nursing job and be home full-time coaching. And it came at a perfect time for my family. My husband had sold his business. We moved. He started a new job. We didn't know anybody. And so it was really good for me to be home, be with my family. I was coaching. It was amazing. Over the past year and a half, I have put into place structure and discipline. It's not perfect, but I'm working on it. And I'm actually excited that this last January, like 2 months ago, I feel like it was like a year ago for all that has gone on in the last few weeks. In January, I started back at the hospital. I'm back to doing something that I love. I love ER nursing. Now, for some of you that are hoping to leave your jobs, this might come as a surprise. But being away for a time, I realized that the ER has a part of my heart. And I would have been able to, and I would not have been able to go back to the emergency room, you guys, if I had not figured out this part of discipline in my days. I can also say that if I wasn't working as a nurse right now with the coronavirus sweeping our country, I'd probably have like a makeshift hospital devised down in my basement. So God knew he needed me back in the hospital. Coaching and nursing are my passion, and it is possible to do both well, but not without discipline. Just like it's possible to be a stay-at-home mom and coach full-time, or a full-time salesperson or physical therapist. But you have to have discipline. You have to be a student of discipline. My coach Liz helped me to lean into my fear and to kick it. She would not let me settle, and she has been one of my biggest cheerleaders of all. So find that person, you guys, whoever it might be for you, and share with them your fear, because out of your fear can come great blessings and ultimately freedom. And I won't go off on a tangent. I could, but thank you guys.
That's awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing that part of your story. And then I am just curious, from like the healthcare provider standpoint, like what can we even do in this time to support all the healthcare workers out there that are like kind of on the front lines of this? What can we do to just show up well for them and serve them well?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of things. And before I address that, I do want to encourage all of you guys, because I think it could be easy for us to get really discouraged. Like, who's going to jump on a journey working with me when they don't even know if they're going to have a job next week, or if their parents are going to, like, we're just in such a tumultuous time, and unknown and uncertainty. But what we do know about health in general is the healthier you are, the more immune you are going to be, or the more you're better you're going to be able to fight off illnesses, And so when you're doing your check-ins with your clients and stuff this week, I think just really highlighting the fact that that you're grateful that they have taken on this this journey towards health, because it's going to help them with whatever they might come across. I mean, they are saying with coronavirus that it's going to sweep through our country. And so, like, let's get our bodies in the best position it can be, drinking their waters and sleep, back to the basics. People forget about that. As far as healthcare workers, I mean, for me, the number one thing, I'm a humongous person of prayer, and I just think we need to be praying. Even just sending text messages. Obviously, we're in social isolation, but sending messages just to be encouraging. I think it's hard for me to say anything specific like right now, because we've never experienced this. But empathy goes a long way. So just empathizing with where people are at. And I think a big thing, if you pray for peace, pray for peace, which ironically is my word of the year. Peace.
That and discipline, right?
Right.
So discipline came during my year of, my word was intention. And that was kind of what came throughout that year. But yeah, it's hard because a lot of people can just isolate and be home. Healthcare workers don't get to do that. And we're bringing it back into our homes and our families. So yeah, it's hard because I can say make a meal if they're working 24/7, but then people don't want germs. So
yeah,
pray.
So that connection time for sure. And if anybody else has some other ideas, or I know we even have a number of other healthcare providers, if you even have something where you're like, wow, this would mean a lot, put it in the chat that we have going on over here. And we're going to open this up in just a minute after we share a couple of things too, to just some Q&A.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of things that were on our heart as well. And so we made some slides about it as soon as we could figure out.
Megan, your screen looks like mine. I love it.
Right? Yeah, I got all of it. But I was thinking about this because I opened it up and just said, it was a hard weekend for many of us. I know I had to do a rescue mission for my mom because she was buried in the snow with no power, and it's been a challenging time. But what I was recognizing was through the weekend, I had some different voices going on around me and everything, and it was easy to even start getting oh my gosh, what's happening and what is going on here? And it was you're getting fearful of the virus that's spreading. You're getting the there's a lot of things that are contagious, right? Not only the virus, and you've made this big world suddenly feel so small, where it's like, you can pick up, fear, you can pick up like cynicism, you can pick up like, just isolate, all these different things. And that was so contagious. And then getting on Monday night's call with Dr. A and so many of our other field leaders, it was like, wow, like it just brought me such a sense of peace and hope and joy. And so it was like, okay, so we have these conflicting things that are contagious. It's like, which one are you going to spread? Which one are you going to partake in? You can be the Debbie Downer of, if anybody else is an SNL fan out there, of like just the despair and dread and finding the negative in any little thing. Or I loved this quote that I saw Liz put up earlier today of like, look for the helpers. Like, we are the helpers, you guys. We get to be the ones that are out there, like on the front lines as well. Maybe not like immersed out in the community, but we get to show up so well. And exactly what Dr. A was talking about, like, he's been prepping us for years. He's put all this into motion. We do this exceptionally well already. We've had this virtual community going, and we get to show other people how to have community even in isolation. So it's like, yes, we have to have the social distancing, but we don't have to isolate completely. So even what Sarah was saying of reaching out to people that are even in healthcare, or other people, I think of, people that are in retail and all these other things, that there's a ton of stress, and there's a lot of like people either being overworked or being taken out of work. And it's like just reaching out to empathize and put yourself in that position of where are they at?
Yeah. How has this affected them? What are they, and let them, give them a chance to not vent, but at least share their experience over the last few days and everything. I got on my phone today and just kind of opened up my contacts and started with A, and just started going down the list. And as people were coming to mind, I called them and just talked to them. And some people didn't answer, and some did, and some weren't affected. They were working from home and all of that. But it was just great to connect with people, because if we don't have that community around us, using the technology, so phone or through Zoom or through other kinds of things, as you find yourself kind of thinking about these people, send them a message. Or do something like that, just in order to give them a chance to connect.
For sure. Well, and that's what it was interesting, because I've been working with my coach about, and he has challenged me to have like come up with some different disruptions, because they lead to integration. And I was like, wow, I couldn't have seen this kind of a disruption coming in. But I love even Doug's initial. He talked about how how they used to, like, we only had like the live events and things. And it was the disruption of a snowstorm that caused them to move over to utilizing Zoom and utilizing some of these different things, because that's the cool thing too, is then we actually do get to expand our reach. So again, just this like being spread out and really reach people all over the globe, utilizing some of these disruptions, that you'll interact with people that maybe you would have never otherwise. People will come into your life that you would have probably never met otherwise. The more we get to utilize some of this technology to advance our connections.
Right. And I just want to say too that what was so striking about the call on Monday was that they were calm. Yeah. Right. And I've been in enough situations through the military, through working in hospitals and stuff like that. When it's hitting the fan, you're drawn to the people who are calm. And I'm always curious, like, what just the practice in being in these situations, like I feel great under their leadership, and then I feel like I know how to show for our team, and then I want to help impart that on you guys, so that you're able to show up like that to your clients and to your teams as well, because they want that calmness. We can have a lot of faith in our company and in its leaders and everything, and so I want that to be something that's made, the point that's made tonight as well. What did you want to say about that?
For sure. I was going to say, like, put in the chat, like, what were some of the things that stood out to you, even from listening to the Monday night call? What stood out that you're going to start implementing or rolling out, or leadership? What did you draw from that will give you the confidence to continue moving out and assisting other people? But I think in this time, and it's so great, Sarah, that you just said empathy goes a long way, because that's exactly, again, what we do in this time, is we put ourselves in the shoes of other people. Like, what are they experiencing? Think of all the different populations out there, and even just the gaps that people are becoming more and more aware of, as have these different disruptions that come to place. Like, we were even joking earlier of like the gym closed, and it was like all these people that are usually like, they live there, they love it, and they sometimes it's like they're like they've got all the exercise dialed in, but they don't have any of the nutrition part dialed.
Pull out that one piece, everything else is not set up for health.
Things start to crumble a little bit, right? Or you have all these people that are now like thrust into schooling for the first you have people that maybe, like, I was really empathizing for a lot of people, like they really work and they spend majority of their time away from their kids. So now to have everybody like in the same home, there's a lot of change that happens when you cause these kinds of disruptions. Think of, like I was saying, that are in, I think you just needed to, that are in the retail where they're like slammed all day, every day. Think of people that are in the healthcare realm that are helping people. And like Sarah said, like, it's a little scary to probably go out there and then come home. So just continuing to try to put yourself into those shoes of what is their need and how can we meet it. And that's the big thing too, is there's a lot of people praying right now, praying for their health, right? Praying for their family's health, praying to have that healthy mind, because now we're removed and isolated out, and a lot of extroverts are going completely like batty and losing their minds. People are really panicked and freaked out about their finances. It's like, are they going to have a job to go back to? Or do they want to go back to the job that they had? There's a lot of like, question marks right now for people. And so it's like, can we come in and tangibly even start to meet some of those prayers? Can we come in and serve those people that are at like that tipping point of, what is my new normal going to look like? What do I want my future to look like? This time has actually even given them some of that gap maybe to identify, what do I want moving forward?
And I think what we have is, in transformation stories and things like that, it's really apparent the physical transformation that our program can help with. But with stuff like this, with times like this, I feel like the healthy mind portion really comes through. And so to convey that to people, being in social media, reaching out to call them, just like we've been saying, being calm and understanding where they're at and giving them a chance, like we've already said, I think that's going to go a long way. It might not help people jump on plan this month, but they'll at least start to pay attention to you. And what I think will shine, like I said, is that healthy mind piece, that this isn't just a physical transformation. You know what I mean? This is more of, I got my mind right, and then I was able to help myself physically. And so then as crises come, because we've all faced obstacles, as soon as you said, I'm going on plan, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to change my life, it was probably 24 hours later that something came along and hit you and tried to knock you off that path. And so dealing with those obstacles over and over and over again now, I mean, I know that this is a way bigger obstacle, right? But this is still something that we can show up seasoned in, I think. And so that would be really, really good.
Yeah. Well, and I know I've talked to a number of coaches that kind of had like that panic moment of like, oh my gosh, are people going to cancel? Are they not? And it's like, I honestly, I even, had that of like, oh gosh, are people going to think that plan is like a luxury? And in my opinion, I think that we are a necessity. Like, we are vital, just as important as kind of those frontline defense healthcare workers, just as important as those people that are, have the doors of Target open so people can get their toilet paper. Like, we are vital right now in this time, because we, again, just like Sarah said, we're going to give people the best fighting chance to really take their nutrition to the next level, to get healthy in their bodies, in their minds, and in our healthy community. As they're getting work through the life book, even in this crazy time too, like, we get to offer so much, and we get to offer food shipped directly to their doorstep, which is truly like a necessity for many at this point in time too. And so it's like, how can we show up to offer all of these valuable pieces that are taken out of place for people right now, so that we can show up well and find what need they have and meet that need that they have. And so if you even have like other populations that come to your heart because maybe you're in it or you've experienced, like, put that in the chat too. If I missed some different groups in there, those were just some that were kind of coming to my heart and coming to my mind as I was making this slide today. And so again, our mission has always been add value, and again, meet needs too, because we don't want to just be only words. Like, I want to tangibly see somebody's life touched and blessed and changed because of what we have to offer. That more than ever, that's what I want to see for people. And so I love this quote, even I don't know what it was from, but it was, my mission is to add value. My attitude is of active curiosity, and my method is through the relationships of trust. And I love that Terry Miller really pointed that out last night too, about getting into that's what the disruption that will lead to integration. That's what this time can offer us, is getting into creation, getting into that space of what are those needs? How can we meet those needs? What can we even up our game to offer service and support to our existing clients or to other people that are, again, probably more open than ever to considering, how do I work from home? Because for many of us, I was just hearing, like, kids might not be going back to school before, summer. So this might be that new normal. There's probably going to be that many more people open and receptive to, how can I be at home with my kids then and still make an income? And for many, even sometimes they're in that place where it's like, wow, I realize now that I'm removed from it, like how much my job didn't give me meaning and purpose, or how much like I really don't want to return back to that after a couple of days, being removed from it. And so it's like, how can we again come in to even not only offer them programming this time, but really how many more people are going to be open and receptive to looking at coaching as a means to create healthy, stable income, as well as create the community and change that's needed, and to support other people in having that transformation, so that when other things sweep through, like, people have the best fighting chance and they're as ready as possible for whatever's coming their way, and that they can reduce all those other comorbidities that would be in existence and put them at risk.
Right. So getting them into structure, keeping them on their health plan, whatever that plan looks like, adding value to that. For one of the things that I wanted to do is definitely add in some workout tips, ways to do things at home. If people have never done any exercise, it's going to be a little bit easier, but for people who were lifting really heavy weights or something like that, they may have to shift their goals. And that's just the way it goes right now, because there's just no way to do that unless you have a home gym or something like that. But other things that we can definitely help with, if you guys have worked from home in any capacity, you have more experience than they do. So absolutely add that kind of thing onto your homepage, onto your own Facebook page. Easy, lean and greens. What we're thinking with that is recipe ideas that they don't have to go out to the store for, because obviously there's a lot of issues with getting food in some ways and things like that. So just with stuff around the house. Megan, you're really good with DIY craft ideas and things like that.
I was going to say, a lot of these things can be lives as well. So you can always make them into actual posts. And sometimes I like to just double dip, where it's like, I make it a post for the people that are not going to watch a live. And then I also make it a live for the people that would not take the time to read a post. So it's like, a lot of these can be double dipped, but how fun, like, even for you, when you have your kids at home, like, let them even be a part of a lot of this. Do a live with them, cooking a healthy meal together. Julie is a pro and Sarah's a pro at like some DIY craft stuff, because those idle hands for some people, like that's the the handiwork that we need to help get them out of, so that they can have some tangible fun things to do with their kiddos, or even just on their own, to get into that creative mode as they're going stir crazy maybe. Yeah,
and quarantine doesn't necessarily mean stay inside all the time. If you have bad weather, that's obviously the case, but I mean, for us today, we got out. We took a walk. We walked the dog. That was great. So these are all ideas.
But I know that so many people are like hungry, and I'm seeing so many of the posts asking for tips, asking for help, asking for ideas. And so it's like, a lot of the times, the things that you've even, done throughout your walk through your life, your past career, maybe your current career, even like the things that probably even come easy and natural to you, they would be like revolutionary for other people. So don't hesitate to share some of those things. Don't hesitate to go live about them. Don't hesitate to bring your kids into the mix and let them even see like what it looks like to offer value, to help other people. We were even going to do Seaton, our son, he loves to read to other kids. So we were going to do like a story time with Seaton. We've done that a couple of different times in the past, but we were going to maybe even open it up to kids connecting over Zoom that way too, because again, they're in isolation as well. So it's like, let's get creative in thinking, how can we even bring our kids together to offer value as well?
Yeah, in this, we're just really, helping you guys to find your voice that you've needed to, if you haven't found it already, things that will help identify you on Facebook, ways that you can add value that are unique to you. Do you guys have any ideas? We want to open this up to you guys. It's great for us to tell you some of our ideas, but what are some ideas that you might have that you can add value to, add community in Facebook and things like that, not just to your own private Facebook page, but to also, on the Unleashed page and things like that. Go ahead and pop off mute. We'll do one at a time, just so there's not a lot of echo. But I'd love to hear some ideas.
Love that, Sarah. Yeah, sometimes slowing down and getting to breathe. That's a great live even that I've been meaning to do, is showing people how to do some actual like deep breathing, because so many of us forget to even take that pause and what to bathe our brain with oxygen, to have it be sent to our entire bodies. Like, that's a great idea, even to show people how to do that.
So today I did cooking with my daughter.
Awesome.
Just saying, if you're new and you're overwhelmed, like, stop and figure out why you're overwhelmed, and then talk yourself through it, and then invite them into it.
Yep.
Because we have a lot more time to really cultivate relationships. And then also you can do those just like ways to encourage them to teach your kids those skills that often get missed because we're in such a hurry. All of a sudden we have, like, we have time. And so she's like, Mom, let's make Rice Krispie treats. And I'm like, okay, and so instead of being afraid and anxious and stressed out because I have a lot going on, my plate is really full and everything changed, like, for everybody. But today I was just like, you know what, we've got to do this. And so how can I teach my kids? Okay, well, if they're reading a recipe, they're creating the idea, they're helping find the ingredients, and then showing that action, so instead of being fear-based, being proactive. And so I just did a post on give yourself grace, give your kids grace, give your spouse grace, and then talk yourself through what's going on, and then make a decision and do it. And so
it sounds very similar to stop, challenge, and choose, right?
yeah, because I had to say either, okay, I want to panic and run away right now, and I can't, I want to make banana bread and whatnot. And so anyways, but that's just one post that I did today for my kids.
Awesome.
That's so great, Sarah. Thanks for sharing that one. And yeah, I love, that's one of my biggest joys, is teaching kids to be independent, because now our kids know how to do a lot on their own. And so
they haven't got coffee down or lattes yet.
My next one I'm working on. You better believe it.
Go ahead, Pam. Pam's off mute.
See, Tim, just so you know, come here.
Pam, did you have something to share? Maybe not. Okay. Who else has an idea of building community? Because that is, again, most people, like, maybe they fought social media for a long time, but this is what we have now. Like, for this season, we have social media, we have Zoom. And so again, this is a great tool that we've already had in place for a long time. And we get to equip and teach other people how to utilize that to build community. So we would love to hear who else has an idea.
One of the things that I actually started doing a couple weeks ago was working with some of my clients, some people who aren't clients, some people who couldn't afford to be clients. And we're doing a once a week, 1 hour, it's technically a Bible study, book study, but we're studying this book full.
That's awesome.
And so that has just been a really good way to stay connected. It's been simple. And I reached out to my clients who faith is a big part of who they are. And so we met this morning, and a part of me was like, I don't know if we should meet. There's so much going on. Then I'm like, this is perfect. We don't have to change anything. This is what we've been doing. And it's people from all over the country. So
yeah, that's
connecting in some way like that. Cause we're not doing our healthy happy hours. We're not doing our gatherings like that. So it's been really good.
Yeah, one of the things I'm helping our church out with is a men's group and everything, and they don't know how to use Zoom. They've never used it before, and we can't meet in person. And so I was like, hey, let's set this up. I'll show you how to do it. And they're like, everybody can pile into one Zoom room. We can even watch something over the computer, and then we can discuss it. So we're going to set that up for the foreseeable future. So little things like that are really helpful to do.
I was going to say, I just did a small group over Zoom with girls from all around the country too on this I Can Do Hard Things. It was ironic timing that it then rolled right into this.
A hard thing.
And this is a faith-based one too. But it was a great way to, again, kind of like see how that worked, to have it was like 10 of us that did a group Zoom book club, and it was great to just one time a week for about 30 minutes to an hour. But you can accomplish a lot in community building with just those short little pockets of time, even that can also pour into your own personal development.
Yeah, I like this one too, letting your kids know the expectations for the day, setting timers for 30 minutes of work. And one of the things that, as we've been home full time now, along with that, was it's not bad for your kids to see you work.
Yeah.
If you go away and then you come home, they don't ever see you work. So they don't know what it takes. They don't really have a concept of what brings in money, what you have to do for it, and then the fact that you get to spend it. They see that all the time, right? They ask you for money, but this is something where they can see what you're doing, and that helps them kind of connect the dots. So it's not bad. And I'll go back to, pre-industrial revolution, where dad didn't leave the home. All that stuff, all of the agriculture, everything from food to working and all that stuff was done in the home. And so kids got to see all of that all the time. So we've only been in the situation we've been in for like 120 years. It's not been that long. So this was the way it used to be a long time ago. Stephanie, did you have something to say, or you came off of briefly, so I'm calling you out. Nothing, you have nothing to say?
Liz,
Well,
I was going to say that's a great tip to just share even publicly too, because there's, again, a lot of people in this new boat that they don't know how to manage the time or manage money, manage, all these different things. And so it's like, if you have any bit of value that you can help equip somebody else to do this well, do this, improve it, or even just sometimes like open their eyes up to some of those gaps or blind spots that maybe they've had, it's a really powerful off of that.
Well, we love you guys, and we are so proud and honored to be able to be on with you right now, and to be able to continue to do all of this with you guys. We look to you for inspiration, and I'm sure that's reciprocal and everything. And so I just would encourage you, now isn't the time to back off. If that's what if you watch the leadership call, that's what they said. So I'd love to echo that. Now isn't the time to back off. I feel like this is a defining moment in a lot of people's lives. And if it isn't right now, in these first couple of weeks where they're still able to bootstrap it, you know what I mean? They're still able to we're going to get this figured out. We got it down. It's going to be great. In maybe a week or 2 weeks. And I mean, maybe longer, maybe shorter if you have kids, because they wear you down a little bit faster. You're like, oh man, this is what it's going to look like. And if we were in the military, so we know when like the CEO comes and says stuff, you don't know how things are going to go. We don't have control. And so we're all kind of in that boat right now, and the governors of the states, hopefully you have a good one, and they're like telling you how things are going to go. That's difficult. And so it's going to wear people down over time. And I feel like they're going to be more receptive to the positivity. They're going to, and if they don't agree to do plan, if they don't want to get healthy in this season, they're going to know you, and they're going to trust you, and you're going to be a leader in their life. And so show up like that now. And hone those skills, and that way you'll be able to, speak more life into them later on, maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, when, hopefully things go back to normal. But I don't know, in some cases for me, I feel like, I hope it doesn't. I hope we wake up. I feel like this is going to create different leaders in the future, not just within Optavia, but within our country. And I feel like it's going to create different kids. And I want to see the good that's going to come out of this. And so that's all I have to say.
But no, that's exactly what's going to help set us all apart in this, is that if you even do scroll Facebook or look at there's a lot of negative things right now. So it's like, I love, Brandon said this earlier, of like, let's, bury the negative, just like we do in our client page a lot. If there's somebody that has like a little off, negative post or something, like we try to bury it with a lot of positive. We try to put up all the encouragement. We try to put up, and not to like we don't pay attention, or that we're not, but that this is what we focus on, and this is where we shift. And that's what's, again, going to help us go from being in that victimhood to back into that empowerment, where we empower ourselves and empower other people.
Yeah, because we obviously weren't facing a pandemic back when you started Plan, but we've all been in victimhood. We know what it feels like, and we can recognize it in other people. And so helping them out of that would be, it would be, that's what we have to do in this moment. So it's not a naive sort of way of thinking. It's like, I've been there, it didn't serve me. When has cynicalness ever served me? And so I'm going to choose positivity. When you wake up in the morning, it's going to take a intention, but That's what we would recommend doing, and have that show up on your Facebook feeds.
And in the client pages.
And in the client pages,
we're
please.
all going to have to show up in there really well.
We would love for everybody. You have full right to be posting in the clients pages and stuff like that. Maybe just check it out to make sure somebody hasn't done a live, like, 2 seconds before you did or something like that, so they don't compete. But at any rate, like, really feel free to be in there and sharing as much as you can and being positive. We're going to probably have a little more consistent Zooms with people just in this season. We would love to have a client night or afternoon or whatever works for people, to have like all of our clients kind of pile into one room and to be able to share and be something to feed them as well. So we'll keep talking about that. Does that sound like a good idea? Put like a one, somebody likes that, put a 1 in the chat or something like that, if that's something that would be fun to do for this season. And our goal is to, it would keep going after the season is over and people would find the value in it. So
we were even thinking of like maybe like a life book lunchtime thing where we're all kind of pile in, share a little bit of what we're learning through, growing through. So we'll maybe see and figure something out for even moving forward with this week with something like that. Put a poll up in the coach page to figure out a good time frame and everything else and what would add value. But anything else? Anybody else have something they want to add real quick before we pop off?
All right, go enjoy your.
We love you guys.
Go enjoy your
We're
St.
so
Patty's
honored
dinners.
to have some of your time tonight. And yes, thanks for tolerating this doozy here.
Doozy. I've been wearing it all day. Have a great night, you guys. We love you.
Love you guys.
Stuffed peppers.